Hello, hello everyone, it's Leo. Today's the big day and I think we have some interesting stuff. Let's see if the audio's working. Let's see if the audio's working. 1 second, everyone. Perfect, our audio's working. How is everyone doing? Is everyone happy? Man, oh man. What a fascinating... I hate everything's here. Audio Vibes is here. Audio, I'm glad that you're happy. I hate everything. I know that you're probably not happy, man, but hello. Regardless, I think that we're going to have a good time because I do think that while the Mamdani people are happy and the betting markets are happy, let's see the betting markets here. We have... No. Is this the one we want? Is this the one we want? Let's see. Yeah, this is the one we want. So we're here at 99% Mamdani. Full disclosure, I may have financially bought something here for Brad Lander, which, call me a cobra, I just have to say that. That allegedly, could have, maybe would have happened. That this is not the end. It's not the end. And people are saying that this is the end. It's not. As a New Yorker, we can only go down from here. There's no going up. I get you, man. I've seen a lot of people who today all of a sudden got really curious about this election, even though we followed it for a while. And they're just, very negative on the whole thing. They're kind of treating it as a lost cause, all of New York, which is unfortunate. But as we can see here, guys, when I saw this last, jeez, man, let's see on the day. Look at this. We started the day all the way up to, when was this? 8:55 p.m. Pretty head to head. Boom. Boom. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? We were at 50-50. However, before everyone gets all excited, as I was saying, it's ranked choice. It's ranked choice. And that matters because when we look at these results, let's see the results here that we have so far. All right. So, this is the latest one that I saw. Mamdani has 43%. Cuomo has 36. Lander has 11. Adams has 41. Let's actually look up the AP. But this shows you, I don't think anyone is breaking through the 51% tonight. I don't think that's happening at all. Which means that they're going to have a week. They're going to have a week to decide this stuff really. And that's what's important. If you really find Andrew Cuomo and the Democratic establishment as disgusting as I do, you should be skeptical. This is the AP here. You should be skeptical. We're 8 points away. How much is reporting? 89% of votes counted. This is a problem for Mamdani. So it seems that this is so stupid. I didn't even know these candidates existed. With ranked choice, all right. So we have Michael Blake's people who will go for Mamdani, which is 3,000 votes. Not much, in my view, for a week from now, right? Jessica Ramos, who did she cross-endorse with? Who did they rank second? I don't know. I think the only cross-endorsements we had were Michael Blake, Whitney Tilson, and Adrienne Adams didn't do it. And look at that, 4% for her. That's not surprising. I thought she was going to do pretty well. So, I'm telling you, enjoy the moment. Enjoy the moment. I'm happy for the Mamdani people. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Good for you. Great campaign. A great campaign. I can't say anything negative about the campaign except the stuff I was saying near the end. But you have not won yet. And what I was thinking today, keep this in mind. If you want to win the mayoral race with Mamdani, this is just my opinion. I think that it's possible it would have been better for him to go independent than for him to be with the Dems. Because he is going to have the Democratic machine behind him. Does that mean they're going to be helping him out? Think about it. Do they like him? Do they want him to succeed? I don't know. I'm inclined to say no. I'm inclined that they would not want him to succeed. And this election gets a whole lot more complicated because in the general, we're going to have Eric Adams and Andrew Cuomo on the ballot regardless. What does that mean? That means that this is not a sure thing, either in the short term or the long term for Mamdani supporters. I'm not being negative. I hope you enjoy your moment. As I said, this is value free. I want everyone to get what they want. I know that's not possible. I am glad about one thing, removing value free aside. Andrew Cuomo is a terrible person, and at least just an ego hit here would be cool. That'd be great. Because this is fascinating here. I mean, look at this, man. This has to be voters that were brought out, which is incredibly impressive. Creating new voters, incredibly impressive. Very hard to do. These are a reliable brand recognition. I mean, look, this is... I know people don't like... Even Mamdani doesn't like when you say it, but this is a victory in itself for them. Okay? You guys did very good. So did Brad Lander. And, you know, I'm actually really surprised at the amount of people who voted, given the population of New York. This is just poor turnout, huh? I mean, it's good turnout for Mamdani, but I wonder what happened to the rest of the voters. Interesting. Audio Vibe says, I'm happy it's Mamdani, but I'm even happier it's not Cuomo. I'll drink to that. I'm glad it's not Cuomo, but you don't know yet. I do think this. I do think that what you can say is this. You're either going to end up with Mamdani or Lander. I'm biased towards Lander. I think the reason for that is that besides Michael Blake, who else is ranking Mamdani second? Well, and Brad Lander, obviously, but this doesn't even matter because he's at 11%. He has a very stable amount. So these vote totals here that are going to be going up, I'm betting on the fact. I think a lot of these guys ranked Lander second. I don't think a lot of them rank Cuomo second. So I think you're safe from Cuomo having the party. Okay? But I don't think Mamdani's in a safe spot here myself. I had everything says, I don't really hate Mamdani. I hope he does well. I agree. I'm with you on that. I'm just from experience as someone who grew up in a tough neighborhood in Brooklyn. I can tell he grew up privileged his whole life and lives in a bubble. Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't disagree with you there. I think that you're right. I've agreed with your assessments. And I agree. I can't hate this guy. I really can't hate this guy because it would be a waste of all of our times to hate someone. It's bad to hate people. It's sinful. But also, you know, it's just, he's just doing his job. He's doing his job. Depending on what you think that job is, you know, dude, if it's not to refine it, but if it's a spoiler election, this could be a spoiler for the general. I'm not sure. I'm wondering, is it possible for a conservative to win in New York, a Republican? I don't think it's possible. But it's interesting. I hate everything says the population of NYC is 8 million. If I remember, 8 million. Yeah, like not even half showed up. 89% reporting. That's a lot, you know? So, I mean, that just goes general trend of the country, right? So, since we're covering him, and we, thankfully for me, because I love covering this election, it's going to be great to cover this even more. I want to show you guys what I think is going to happen. The attacks on Mamdani had just begun, and they will get worse, and he will have to struggle to beat them. I think that while I don't like this guy here particularly, Patrick Bet-David, he lives in Florida, he's not from New York. He has New York people on his podcast, and he has people who I think would be the relevant voters for a general who listen to him, besides conservatives. A lot of liberals, disaffected liberals, stuff like that, people who are still registered Democrats. And I think it's important for everyone to take into account. You have not even won. Okay, you won the first lap. There's 30 laps left, okay? And this is only going to get worse the way they're attacking this guy. And I don't approve of how they're doing it, but just know that this will be incredibly effective because remember, it's a primary. That explains why, 8 million didn't come out, right? Because it's a primary. You have to be politically engaged. But in a general, I bet we're going to at least see the voters double. So let's see what they're attacking Mamdani with. Now, this is an important voice in politics in America. Trump was on the podcast. I don't find it particularly insightful. But this is the rhetoric that we will see come out. So let's watch.
Mamdani, a 33-year-old second-term assembly member, briefly surpassed former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo as a front-runner in New York City Democratic mayoral primary on June 23rd, according to Polymarket, a cryptocurrency-based prediction market headquartered in New York City. The June 23rd Emerson College polling.
This was today, but hours ago, because now Mamdani's at 99, like we showed earlier.
Market headquartered in New York City. The June 23rd survey showed Cuomo with 35% support in the first round, followed by Mamdani 32%, with Mamdani now 52% to 48% after 8 rounds of ranked choice voting. The Emerson poll conducted June 18th through 20th with over 830 likely early voters had a 3.3% margin of error, marked a significant shift as the most previous polls show Cuomo leading by 10 points. Rob, here's a clip. Oh, that's the Polymarket?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yahtzee.
Cuomo had a massive lead, and then all of a sudden, boom.
I'm glad, and this is how you know I'm not a hypocrite or lying to you. When Cuomo had that lead, I told you guys that didn't matter. I told you that didn't matter. I told you that it was something that was stupid of them to be comfortable with. So all I'm saying now is, if I said it then and I'm saying it now, you're more than likely going to get it, but there is a strong chance that you don't. That's all I'm saying.
How much of that do you think the end has to do with Israel-Iran war right now that's taking place? Obviously, that's the only thing that would make that dramatic of a shift. Can you play a clip of this guy to see how he views the economy? I think there's a video of him breaking down what he would do to the supermarkets in New York. And tell me if you recognize this.
Before he plays it, good to mention, if you're new to politics or something, you can talk wild in the primary. But in the general, they're going to bring all this primary stuff up. And let's see what they're going to bring up.
Other countries that have tried this and if it's worked or not. Go ahead, Rob.
Grocery prices are out of control. The cost of eggs and milk has skyrocketed. Some stores are even using dynamic pricing, jacking up the cost over the course of a day depending on what they can get away with. It doesn't need to be this way. I'm Zohran Mamdani, and as mayor, I will create a network of city-owned grocery stores. It's like a public option for produce. We will redirect city funds from corporate supermarkets to city-owned grocery stores, whose mission is lower prices, not price gouging. These stores will operate without a profit motive or having to pay property taxes or rent, and will pass on those savings to you.
Okay, so, Tom, economically, does that make any sense to you?
Man.
No, and what's happening over with Zohran, and by the way, you know, he is so...
Before we continue, this is the video. Look at the title they put here. Jihadi-backed Marxist. I know what a jihadi is. I know Zohran's not a jihadi. I'm showing you this because this is going to be very effective following this primary if he takes it. Because this is just, we call it racist, okay? And you'd be right to call it that. You could call it bigoted, more correct there, because it's religious, right? But the more important thing is that it's effective, and it fucking matters. It matters, okay? It does matter, okay? So when you hear this rhetoric, jihadi, Islamist, they're going to confuse it. It's very effective, okay? I Hate Everything says, rip to all the bodegas if he does the citywide grocery stores. My take on the citywide grocery stores, I never liked it, as you guys know. I just think they're going to fail. And they're not. I think the bodegas are pretty safe because I'm going by the, not just the boomer way where they're going to say, where, oh, the Soviet Union, you know, stuff that's not really relevant to anyone under 40. But just because they did a pilot program of this in Oakland and it was more expensive than Walmart. And even though I hate Walmart, you know, people are going to vote with their feet and they're going to buy stuff where they buy. Christy says, wait, he did. Yes. He didn't win yet. And that's what we're talking about here. I think that there's a chance he wins, but I think there's a strong chance, a moderate chance that Brad Lander takes this. But Cuomo, I think, is definitely out. Not yet. Chances look high, though. I agree. I hate everything. Christy says, oh, the title gave me false hope. Thank you for telling me. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just because we're going by the betting markets. That's why I think it's relevant to call it that. I'm not trying to mislead anyone, but the betting markets, you know, they have them at 99%. But I just don't think that, I think that everyone's overestimating it, and that's what people are saying is the important thing, right? That is. But let's watch here. As I said, and look, I remember last time we got some chats that were like, that's not fair. If you want to talk about fair, let's talk about, you know, your weapons that you're using in Halo 3, and if Sally should share her cookie with the kindergarten class, because fair is fake. And fair is bullshit, and it doesn't matter in politics, okay? These people will say things like this jihadi-backed Marxist because they can and because it's effective. That's it, okay? And they will keep doing this.
Easy. The unfortunate thing about his last name is it quickly becomes Madman, Madmanny. So we have this mad.
Don't be surprised. I know this is just some boomer idiot saying this. If this goes around later, this would be a very effective ad campaign against him.
Manny, and he is basically saying all things socialist. In the space of 3 weeks, he said no GPAs. Yeah, I'm going to change public high schools. We're going to own grocery stores, and we're going to fill them. Ask the people in the Soviet Union how that worked out.
Perfect attack for the boomer that matters on election day. The Soviet Union. They still remember that. They remember the Soviet Union, okay? The Soviet Union matters to them. And when you hear this talk and you're over the age of 40, you go, oh, that sounds like the Soviet Union, like before the Berlin Wall fell, before America was in charge of everything. And that's not good. So just know this is going to be an attack that they use.
The shelves were never full. Things didn't work. The 5-year plan for crops didn't work. It didn't work. Now he wants to bring that in New York. Oh, so we're going to run state-owned, city-owned supermarkets. That's going to change the price of an apple that's being sold by the farmer? No. It doesn't. Inflation changes that. Diesel fuel to ship for that truck to drive the apples around changes that. So he's doing that. And he keeps going down the list. But guess what? There's a bunch of people who are behind it. And so New Yorkers have to decide what they want. And by the way, the reason Cuomo looks so good, it's like if you ever watch the Miss USA and they bring out the women in alphabetical.
Everything says there's a significant amount of Muslims in NYC. So when they call him a jihadist, I just roll my eyes. It's a terrible attack. It is terrible in morality, in fairness, but I think it's a good attack for people that remember very clearly September 11th. I just think that's the case because I think there is some latent anti-Muslim views in the United States. They can pent this up or pent it down depending on how they want to use it. Because at the end of the day, people just listen and think, oh, jihadi, that sounds scary, you know? Because I agree with you. I know what a jihadi is. A jihadi is not the same as an Islamist. An Islamist is not the same as a Muslim. A Muslim is not the same as a conservative Muslim. But they're just going to use this because I do think that it is terrible, but I think it's effective. I think it's effective. They could overplay it. I agree with you. They could overplay it. And people don't like when things... People like when they can be racist or just discriminatory in a campaign. But they don't like to feel like they're being that way, okay? That's my take. I don't think people want to feel like they're doing something because of this. That they're not voting or they're calling him that because of that. But I think it's a good aside that they can use to attack him with.
Order. And for 31 seconds, Miss Afghanistan is the most beautiful woman on the stage because she's the only woman on the stage.
That is not... This may be off the cuff. Miss Afghanistan. What's Afghanistan? It's a great attack because he's South Asian. He's not Central Asian, right? But, they're going to say, oh, Miss Afghanistan. Calling him Miss Afghanistan, what do you think of when you think of Afghanistan? The Taliban, okay? So this is, it's fucked up. I'm not denying it, but it could be effective. And I think it is. Audie Vibe says, I agree it's a terrible attack. The attacks on Mamdani, especially in these last few days, have been so blatantly racist. I agree. And it's a shame. And it's a shame, especially considering that the person who deserves that kind of attack is Andrew Cuomo, because he said he wasn't perverted because he was Italian. So if anyone wants to play the race card, it should be against him. But again, if we want to talk about fair, let's talk about where we should sprint from in our third grade class to determine who's the fastest. Okay, it's politics. It's not fair.
And that's what happened to Cuomo. He was the only woman on the stage. And now there's an alternative out there, and New Yorkers are actually, some of them are choosing a psychopathic liberal spouting socialist Marcus.
Now, what pissed me off there is psychopathic liberal. You know me, I've called this guy a sociopath from the start, and I don't mean that even in a negative way, really. Anyone who selects for politics is going to be higher on that index. Andrew Cuomo murdered people. He murdered people, and if you believe what he did, he sexually assaulted various women. And we're talking about a guy here who the only things against him are some wonky economic policy at worst and his religion. And he's the psychopath in this race? I don't see Andrew Cuomo being called that, who deserves it much more.
Marxist ideology on one side, and on the other side, they're rejecting a politician returning to the ring with some baggage, with some COVID baggage. You got to say it, it's there. And choosing to get back.
Baggage. He murdered people. Thousands of people are dead because of Andrew Cuomo. And these guys, this is why it's so pathetic, but it's going to work, I'm telling you, is that these guys ran away from liberal states because of the COVID policies. And here they're shilling for Cuomo. So think about it, because these guys, I don't think anyone's going to shill for Silva. I don't think he's going to win. But they will shill for anyone who's against Zohran.
In the ring as mayor of New York, but with people surveyed believing he doesn't want to be mayor long term. He really has other aspirations. He wants to get back in the bigger ring. And so that's what's going on here. But Zohran, madman, it says, good Lord, New Yorkers, you in the last election, you shifted more than you ever have. And now you're turning back to this free stuff. Take away merit-based high schools, take away GPAs, state-run stores. None of that ends well, and we've got 65 years of socialist Marxist experiments around the world to see it. But you know what? If they vote for it, I guess they deserve it.
Vinny, thoughts?
Well, I mean, first of all, could we just...
That conservative crap is so stupid. If you vote for it, you deserve it. No one deserves to have their life upended, no matter how they vote. That is just crap that they... I hate when they talk like that, and they always do it. Elections have consequences is the same thing. No one deserves anything that a politician does to them. They vote, and that's it. Even if they voted for them, they don't deserve anything. No one does. That's just bullshit.
Second, besides Los Angeles, Tom, New York, what can we just point out that this is the Democratic leadership? Like, the pool of people for them to vote on is absolutely ridiculous, okay? First, like you said, Tom, a disgraced ex-governor who almost wiped out single-handedly the nursing home population in New York during COVID. I'm not afraid to say it, Tom, I'll say it. You got, Eric Adams, who begged for illegals to come there, make it a sanctuary city, and then he caught foul when they showed up. And then all of a sudden, he's flipping, and now he sounds more Republican than everything, and he's under investigation from the FBI. So New York, just from the jump, is good.
You make a good point about they usually don't have a lot of choices. They have it's usually like a scale. It goes from guano to fertilizer to manure to horse shit, all of it wrapped in bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and ladies and gentlemen, the Democrat primary.
Yeah. But here's my question, Tom. I don't want to laugh about it. When are they going to wake up? When are you going to get it? And like, this guy's a radical Marxist. Okay, he has Islamic supremacist background. All right, and imagine telling.
Islamic supremacist background. I don't even know what that means, man. I don't even know what that means. Islamic supremacist. That's a new one. I guess there's white supremacists, there's black supremacists, and now there's Islamic supremacists. I guess Muhammad was an Islamic supremacist. He conquered Persia to spread the religion. But this stuff's effective, man. It is effective. It's stupid, but it works, man. It's stupid, but it works.
The families of 9/11. 24 years later.
And that's why it works, because of 9/11. That's why it works, because that's still in the memory. And even though they've slowed down, a lot of people still remember San Bernardino. They still remember 9/11. They still remember a lot of stuff. And these young voters, you get them out for the primary. Can you get them out for the general? That's tough.
That this guy, this jihadi-backed freaking Marxist, is going to get...
Dude, and jihadi back doesn't even make sense. What, is Al-Qaeda funding him? What does that even mean? It's just crap, but it works. It works. I hate everything says, I like Silva because he's been in NYC forever, been there at its worst. I would say Silva is more of the average New Yorker than Mamdani. The problem is that Republicans in NYC are so disorganized. I agree. I like Silva because of the Guardian Angels. I thought that was a cool program when I learned about it. And we actually had them in Miami, apparently, back in the 80s. Yeah, the Republicans seem to be super disorganized up there, man. And this is why you can't even be mad at people for fighting it out, knives out for each other in the Democratic primary. Because if there's no other opposition party, the smart thing would be for the Republicans to spend money there. But they're not smart people, so they're stupid. And they leave a disorganized mess. And the same can be said in Florida of Democrats. Democrats in Florida are completely disorganized. They're just full of crap. And that's why we live with Governor DeSantis, who is Pretty bad governor, in my opinion. And this isn't me speaking as a Democrat or a Republican. I don't see him winning, but he is a character. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it'd be cool to have Sowa like in some commission or something, because that Guardian Angel stuff, man, that worked. And it was pretty cool. It's cool to see the pictures of that era of New York and how it was cleaned up with a grassroots movement to an extent.
It looks like he's going to get elected. And there's a guy named Trevor Loudon. He's an expert on Marxist and terrorist groups. He said that Mamdani is a Marxist member of the Democratic Socialist of America, DSA. He's a 12er Shia Muslim, which, Adam, you'll love this. Same sect as Iran's ruling regime right now. And you know what they're about.
Dude, this is just racist. It's just racist. It is just racist. That's crazy. You're insulting the religion of like every Persian in America. But they don't care. I'm sure the Persian vote is marginal. I'm sure it's marginal.
Father supports Hamas and called Israelis Nazis. And Tom, you'll know this. The last time New York City had a Marxist mayor from the DSA, do you know who it was? David Dinkins in the 1990s.
That's a good attack. I like that attack, but it only works on older people and people that know about that, because Dinkins was a bad mayor. If you're a Tribe Called Quest fan, you know this. They had to change their lyrics about him. I hate everything. Again, terrible attacks. Terrible attacks. Just the worst stuff. It doesn't even make sense. It's crazy to say that kind of shit, man. I don't like the free speech restrictions and all that, but this is just insane. Like, who says this crap? You're insulting the religion of so many people, their faith. Inspected Basic says W. Do we have a W? Let's see what does AP say right now. Did he get over 51%? If it's not over 51%, we don't see it as determined yet. Nope, we're still at 43%. Let's give it another twirl. 43%, man. It's not a W yet. It's not a W yet. And remember, you still have to go through that week-long process where week-long processes, whether you're a Trump fan or not, remember 2020. Remember what happened after people went to bed. And, who has the machine on their side? I think it's Cuomo much more than Mamdani, although I don't think he could take it. I do think Lander could, though.
90s, and guess what happened? Crime skyrocketed, drugs were flooded into the streets, businesses shut down, Times Square became a freaking cesspool, and tourism collapsed, okay? And then the city nearly died, but Giuliani had to rescue New York from the wreckage. Now it's happening again, but this time with a Marxist, with Islamic supremacy tied in. I'm telling you right now, if they win, this is... just look at London, look at Europe, look at France, and just to see what's going to happen, okay? Crime is going to explode, terror is going to become normalized, and the city's going to turn into a third world zone.
And not to be pedantic, but Sadiq Khan, I believe, is a Sunni Muslim, which is completely different. So I don't know. It's just, but these attacks work. They work. They're crap. Anyone who knows anything knows this is crap, but it works. I hate everything says if they were smart, they would say he's Muslim, but he's pro-LGBT. That'd be a good attack too, to shave off some of the Muslim votes, right? But I don't think they even care about the Muslim voter, to be honest. I think they just care about shaving off, the older liberal vote. And that's what they're going to focus on. And using these types of Soviet Union, jihad, 9/11 crap is what sways those voters. You also have to remember, a lot of these guys, these older people, I think they get their news from TV still. And, TV is a cancer on your brain. Don't watch TV. But I'm sure that you're going to see this stuff all over the press, whether they're liberal or not, because they don't want this guy.
You'll see it.
And their tax base is already changing right before their eyes as wealthy people and businesses move out of the city proper, meaning the 5 boroughs.
By the way, keep this in mind. AOC totally supports him. This is him out there in the streets. Watch this one here, folks. This is him. Go for it. Very friendly.
This was a bad move because, again, as I've said before, the main test to see if he could win, that all the liberals, not the leftists, are going to ask him, is, are you a crazy Muslim? It's an unfair question, but this face screaming, every minority has to put up with this, dude. If I start yelling, I'm going to be a crazy La Raza Mexican. If you get it on footage, this is going to be played over and over and over again. Promise you. It's just terrible. Terrible.
Volume?
Bad optics.
Did you hear what he saw?
Brad Lander can do this. He can even get arrested, and it's fine. But Mamdani can't. You look bad doing that kind of thing. Especially with people that are going to associate Islam with martyrdom, right? So they're going to be like, oh, this is a martyr kind of guy. You know, this is like Hezbollah. You know, it's just crap like that, but it works.
Screaming at Tom Homan,
For
do
deporting.
you believe in the First Amendment? So this guy's definitely not about securing the border. So you already know if you do something with this guy, you're going to get de Blasio 2.0. When you get into, and by the way, go to AOC, Rob, what I just sent you, 2 things, New York Times, AOC endorses him, and also they're out there in the video, the video I sent you, I don't know if you see the video, of them protesting together, not protesting together, marching together. She's got the Puerto Rico, is this, yeah, that's the one right there, Rob. Watch this, Vinny, you will love this. That's AOC in the red with Mamdani, okay?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I mean, they're doing their part too. They're doing their part, but New York City's got to step up and do something about this. Adam, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, well,
The very famous Puerto Rican jihadi, AOC, is supporting Mamdani here. Interesting. J-Bug says you don't mess with a Zohran. Buddy, I'm telling you, hold on. You don't have it. Don't snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. I'm telling you, I don't think anyone's going to take it tonight, and they have a week to play around with it.
let me look on the bright side. You know, you always say this, elections have consequences. So New York City, get ready for the consequences. You know, I will give this guy credit. Authenticity matters. I believe he stands for what he says. You know, when someone tells you who they are, believe them. He tells you, I'm a democratic socialist. I am a pro-Palestine, anti-Israel democratic socialist. I'm with the squad. I'm with Bernie. I'm with AOC. This is who I am.
I think this is effective too, because from the numbers I saw, the Jewish vote went for Cuomo. It was split, but it went towards Cuomo's direction. And that, I think, will play a big role in the general.
Founded the Justice for Palestine. Why are we surprised by any of this? You know, this is eerily reminiscent, these odds on the poly market, of exactly what happened in Canada just a few months ago. Pierre Poilievre was 90% likely to win. A couple weeks before the election, Mark Carney surges in the polls, Justin Trudeau's out, and now Canada is run by another leftist. So, New York, your time to shine is either over or it's just starting. So, one of the interviews that you did recently, PBD, that I've watched, not once, not twice, 3 times, is Tommy Robinson. He's warned us. It's coming for you. It's probably too late for what's happened in London. It's probably too late for what's happened in Paris. It's probably too late for what's happened in cities all around Europe. New York, you're about to have potentially a democratic, socialist, progressive jihad.
I just don't even understand the criticism here, because New York is not like London or Paris, because France and England did not start the Syrian civil war that brought a bunch of refugees to European capitals. So if Zohran gets elected, what? He's going to start converting people and make it a enforced hijab city or something? I don't... But it works. It's crap, but it works. Everything says a general election debate is going to be glorious. Mamdani, Adams, Cuomo. So that's going to be very funny. Very funny. Adams has been very funny lately. I'm biased towards Adams. I really like the guy on a personal level. He's very, very funny. So that will be hilarious to watch.
Hottest mayor. This is a far throw from what Rudy Giuliani was when he cleaned up the streets of New York. Best of luck.
It's not good, Pat. And Pat, can I just really fast?
Yeah, of course.
Because AOC and all them are talking shit. What's her name? Jasmine Crockett, everything, because they're trying to impeach Trump for what he's doing, especially in the Middle East with what happened. Because just to really fast, just to FYI for everybody out there that's talking shit about Trump, about the bombings, guess how many bombs Barack Obama dropped in his last year of his presidency?
This is off-topic crap, but just so you can see how conservatives are spineless people. They just go with whatever they are told is the correct thing to do. Just know that I'm not a conservative. I don't like the conservative ideology. It's a fake ideology. It's just liberalism in another name. Conservatives will not save you if you're right-wing. If you're right-wing, I would advise you to stop being a conservative. Not even speaking as someone who is right-wing, just telling you these people are stupid and they will only harm you being around them. But
1,200 on Syria, 12,000 in Iraq, almost 500 in disagree. For them to be out there, and Trump just tweeted at AOC, I'm not going to read it, Pat, It's long as hell. I just sent it to Rob. I'll just give you the beginning of it, Robbie. He says, and you guys will love it. Stupid AOC, Alexandria Cortez, when you select.
It's like accuse the incumbent opponent of doing exactly what you are already doing.
Yeah, exactly. And they've been doing it for freaking how long?
Get ready for prices in Miami and in Florida to start surging, because I feel like a lot of millionaires and billionaires and job creators, people who are not a fan of not only his ideology, but just straight up socialism, are going to get the hell out of there.
This I'm just playing because I pray to God that this doesn't happen. We have had enough New Yorkers in Florida. They do not make the state better. I'm sure they're fine people in New York, but in Florida, they have not made the state better. They have just jacked up property prices and shifted the culture in a negative direction, in my opinion. I hope this doesn't happen. I don't think it will, because people are very... Look, regardless, New York is going to survive whoever's in power, okay? I don't think everyone's going to run away. As I hate everything that's pointed out, a lot of the stuff he wants to do is incredibly difficult to get through committee, as well as with the people he has to work with.
Just like they left during
it's
COVID.
funny you're saying this.
It's like wave 2.0.
Yeah, if you go to DeSantis's tweet, he's just saying what DeSantis said 2 days ago. If you go to DeSantis's tweet, you'll see what DeSantis said. And Adam is right. Check this out. DeSantis said 2 days ago, go a little bit higher. I think it's that one right there. Zoom in right there, right at the top. Just when you thought Palm Beach real estate couldn't go any higher.
I don't want to get into a Florida rant. This man is a fucking monster. This is disgusting. He's pimped out our state. He's a terrible person. Do you know how much we're paying for property insurance right now in this state? Car insurance? This guy is full of shit. This guy is the worst governor this state has had. Worse than Rick Scott, and Rick Scott sucks. And we have a breaking news. Apparently, Andrew Cuomo has just conceded. Let's see that. Apparently, Andrew Cuomo has conceded. I just saw the news. Let's see if it's on Twitter. That is fascinating if it happened, man. Because I don't think he has a path to victory at all. Let's see. Andrew Cuomo. Yep, he conceded. He conceded. He conceded. Wow. 10 seconds ago, dude. Wow. Oh my God. Cuomo concedes NYC mayoral primary as Mamdani takes lead, setting historic election stage. Former Andrew Cuomo conceded New York City's Democratic mayoral primary to Zohran Mamdani as the 33-year-old member of the state assembly had a significant lead in the race Tuesday night. Cuomo's concession comes as the race outcome will be decided by ranked choice after neither Democrat got a clear majority in the vote. All right, so that's fucking odd, man. What's he at? 43%. That's a weird concession, but I think he knows that he does not have the second choice votes. I hate everything says I can see lower income New Yorkers leaving. Absolutely, absolutely. I don't think they'll come down to Florida though. I think they'll probably go to the surrounding states and stuff. You know, I don't know, Massachusetts. You probably want to go somewhere more like Vermont, right? Please make a rant about Florida. I have a video on my channel, Miami Sucks Now, which would be my trademark rant on that. Highly recommend it. And Audio Vibes is very happy. Let's go. All right. Well, that's breaking news. Said Mamdani won, and that we are going to take a look and make some decisions. Tonight is his night. I just don't get it. I don't get why you would even do that. Why would you do that? Let's see here. Actually, I have a live here of the election coverage. Let's see what they got to say. That's insane. Let's see.
This is going to be international news tomorrow. Wait until next week to make it official, but clearly in the lead, Mark Levine thanking all of his supporters. Let's go to Bobby Kuza, who's at the big board with some results in some surprisingly close city council races.
Yes, some surprisingly close. Some incumbents actually fared better than we thought they would. But let's go.
Oh, here we have the concession.
Points right now. and count. Because down, we didn't primary electorate. They make up 79% of Democratic primary voters.
This stage today, and I would still be the luckiest guy in the city of New York. Woo! Thank you all for being here tonight. The votes are still being counted, and the ranked choice tabulations will take a few days. But this much is clear. Together, we are sending Andrew Cuomo back to the suburbs. With our help, Zohran Mamdani will be the Democratic nominee.
Wow.
Of the city of
That's
New York.
crazy. That's a full-on endorsement by Lander. Let's see Cuomo.
I enjoyed having the team back together again. I'll tell you the truth. People came back from when I was at HUD. The old HUD team came back. That's 30 years ago. And the Attorney General team, that's 20 years ago, and the governor's team, and friends that go back to my childhood. So that was all enjoyable, and I'm very proud of the campaign that we ran, and I'm proud of the effort that we put forth, and I'm proud of the issues that we discussed. But tonight was not our night. Tonight was Assemblyman Mamdani's night, and he put together a great campaign, and he touched young people and inspired them and moved them and got them to come out and vote. And he really ran a highly impactful campaign. I called him. I congratulated.
Well, I guess for him, there's little pressure because he's going to run regardless to contest this. I think it would just look whiny to contest it. That's interesting because Lander doesn't. He seemed to endorse Zohran, but he knows that he has a bigger chance than what he actually has here. I had everything says his real challenge will be NYC summer. Yeah, you know it gets hot up there. It's gonna be hard to campaign doing that. But he'll have September, all of September and October, right? It's November. Get sleazy car salesman Lander out. Yeah. And Audio Vibes is very happy to see Cuomo out. I agree with you. This is great to watch.
These are real issues, and they're not getting better, and they're getting worse, and that's why New Yorkers are as concerned as they are. So the challenges we face are real, and they deserve real consideration. And I want to give some thought about the best way to help address them, the best way to help the party, but most of all, the best way to help the city. And that's what we'll be thinking about as we go forward.
I wonder if Zohran's spoken yet. That's crazy. Let's see the odds. They should be in Zohran's favor or mostly against Cuomo at this point. This is crazy, man. Zohran's at 100%. Wow. That's so crazy, man. Look at this shit. That is so funny. Let's see from the beginning. Look at where they started. What a piece of shit, Andrew Cuomo. Fuck you. That's awesome. Fuck Andrew Cuomo. That's great. Oh my God. Awesome. I'm glad about that. So let's continue here because while I don't think it's completely over yet for anyone, what I do think is interesting here is that we should watch. We're watching here. The attacks are going to pull on him. Let's move. Diego says sweat and tears. Zohran Mamdani will be the next mayor. Diego, I hope you get what you want, man, but I think it's going to be very, very tough. I think the battle has just begun. It's just begun. And like we were saying here, man, they're going to be attacking this guy hard. And Cuomo, now that he doesn't have to play nice with the Dems, is going to be just out here spitting just, you're a Muslim. I think that will be the whole campaign, just being, you're a Muslim communist. And it could work. It could work. So what is interesting here is now that we know what's going on, you guys don't know Mark Halperin. He's a journalist who does some pretty good work. And he was talking today with de Blasio. And I think that this could hurt Zohran in the long term, because I think de Blasio just wanted to humiliate Cuomo, which he has successfully done. Getting that pervert to concede is hilarious. It's awesome. I'm very happy that happened. But this could come back to haunt Zohran. It's about to be a real racist few months, says Audio Vibes. It's going to be, racism is, if I could buy the racism on Polymarket going up, I would buy it, man, because it's going to get a whole lot more racist than you thought it would.
Let's talk about the mayoral race. I was quite taken with the tweeting you did on the night of, I think it's the second debate. I'll ask you the question that my former colleague Terry Moran was asked after his controversial post. Were you sober watching the debate?
100%.
100%. What inspired you to go so hard after Andrew Cuomo and on that evening?
Well, Mr. Frank says during the concession, it didn't sound like Cuomo would run in the general. He mentioned the strength of the party. That's interesting rhetoric, but what I said, I don't know. I have to think about it because it just happened, but it would sound a bit whiny, I think, to say, oh, I'm going to really fight this or something versus, he already has so much money that he can use in the general. Why would he whine over this? And in some ways, what I said at the beginning is that maybe this is an outcome that is desirable for the Cuomo establishment types, because Mamdani will now have to deal with having the backing of the Democratic Party. And the Democratic Party, as we all know, does not like him. So is it the best position for Cuomo to be in? It could be. It could be better than... Sure, he would want to have his machine, but he still has it. He still has it. He has the NYT. He has the money. The one who's going to struggle with this backing, ironically, is going to be Mamdani, who fought so hard for it.
Well, I was high on life, if I was high on anything, because, I had been waiting to see people state the obvious and fight back. And in the first debate, I think only Michael Blake did that productively, to his credit. But in the second debate,
Michael Blake was a great candidate. I really liked him. You guys saw when we did the interview, or when we covered his interview, Michael Blake was great. And I think that he would have benefited more from winning the Democratic nomination than Mamdani, ironically, because he was a Obama guy. Mr. Frank says it'll be a bad look for Cuomo for bucking the party during the Trump era. Absolutely, that would be a bad look for him. It would. But I think that he knows he can't win, because he can't get the second ranking, Victoria Sheffield said, yeah, it's so much easier to critique from the back. It also means we get to see some real leadership. If he can whip the Democratic Party into being a Mamdani machine, anyone who's skeptical of him should be incredibly happy, because if you can get the Democrats is the oldest political party on the planet. If you can get them on side and working for you, he can run a city. Maybe not perfectly, but he could run a city. And that would be a crazy achievement. It would be.
Debate. I think Zohran Mamdani was on a much stronger footing. I think Brad Lander was on fire, and it was a real debate. Also, there's a lot of junkies, political junkies on this call. Switching use of junkie here. That second debate actually shed light. It actually brought out real contrast in both personality, leadership, but also issues. And I was ready to say something about Andrew Cuomo, and I had held my fire for a long time because I did not want it to become like a back and forth with Andrew Cuomo and his team.
Yeah.
But I think that night proved to be kind of kismet. It was time for me to say something. It was the right moment in terms of what was happening on that stage. And then I think it's absolutely fascinating. I'm a supporting actor in this drama, but so many people from so many different angles over the last 2 weeks have finally said the emperor has no clothes. And I think it's reverberating out very deeply. And that debate sparked it.
Yeah. Interesting. You want to tell us who your 5 votes were for?
Not tonight, Mark.
Not tonight. Okay. Did you list Andrew Cuomo on your ballot?
Amazingly, I did not.
Did not. Okay. I think
this, if it comes out in the general, which it will, these de Blasio implicit endorsements that we've seen, I think they're going to hurt Mamdani a lot. Come the general. I think they're going to hurt him a lot. I had everything says, well, Mamdani does become Dinkins 2.0. If he gets lucky, maybe he'll get that de Blasio effect of not getting blamed for the problems he started. But Dinkins did get blamed. De Blasio, this is a master class in how to not get blamed for everything. This is the GOAT of this, the GOAT. Mr. Frank says this is the consolidation. The consolidation of what do you mean there, man? Victoria says, dude, the worst part is the two sides should be adult enough to stop fighting each other and start bringing out the best of our communities. We have lacked wisdom for so long. This taste of it is delicious. Look, should, would, could. In politics, dude, they shouldn't be making videos calling this guy a jihadi-backed Marxist, what they're doing, Yeah, coalition politics. America's just waking up to coalition politics. Coalition politics, I think, actually gets a lot dirtier than the system we used to have. This ranked choice stuff, which there's going to be more of, is going to get a lot dirtier. Absolutely.
I think that one of the brilliant things that those opposing Andrew Cuomo have done was to popularize the concept of don't list him at all. And if he loses,
Mr. Frank says the party, how de Blasio was talking in this interview versus 2 weeks ago. Agree. Now this is the time when they would consolidate. But again, we're saying they're going to consolidate around Mamdani. That's tough, man. That's tough. I don't think these people want him to win. The Democratic establishment. I don't think they want him to win. And if he can get them on side, that's cool. But that's going to be tough.
That'll clearly have been a very marketable way to try to defeat him. I'm wondering what you think of that.
If you look at, I would urge everyone who cares about politics and communication, look at the Dream for NYC video. Really talented people put together. And the DREAM stands for Don't Rank Evil Andrew for Mayor. And it's powerful and really hammers home.
If anything, you know who won tonight? Bill de Blasio won tonight. He can't keep getting away with it. But he can. He must be so happy. His political rival is completely humiliated. He is now branded a sex pest officially. He is now blamed openly, thank God, for killing all those people during COVID. Bill de Blasio won. He's a genius. He's a genius. I don't know how this man does it.
If you believe, as so many of us do, there's a thoroughly corrupt, amoral human being, the best thing to do about it is to just don't rank and tell everyone else don't rank. Well, that did gather some steam. I think it really, as ranked choice voting has become more the norm in New York City, people are still kind of learning it. That actually helped people think. And then pivotally, for Zohran and Brad to cross-endorse, which was, as you know, Mark, the criticism in 2021 for anyone who's not happy with the status quo in New York City, people have said, if only Maya Wiley and Catherine Garcia had cross-endorsed, the result would have been different. I think that's a true statement.
Yeah.
People got the memo, and it took guts on both their sides, honestly. They both showed some actual political creativity and courage, but I think when the smoke clears, if the Emerson poll in particular is to be believed, I think it will be possibly the decisive act of this election.
They say that something that...
Interesting. Let's see the other clip that he had.
Let's talk about the mayoral race. I was quite taken with the tweeting you did on the night of, I think it's the second debate.
Sorry there. Let's see here.
And given the sophistication, though, of this audience, I can shorthand something here. Let's say it's a two-person race in this Democratic primary. We won't know until the votes are counted. But, from weeks and weeks, it's appeared to be a two-person race. Okay. The experienced candidate, not to be coy, but was experienced in corruption, experienced in lying, experienced in sending seniors to their death during COVID. A lot of
the shamelessness of this man. I love it. You were the mayor of New York while he did it. It's just so funny, man. I had everything says NYC Council will definitely listen to Mamdani. A lot of things he wants are not going to get approval from the state. Yeah, that's probable. That's highly likely.
Things that we don't want, sexual harassment, et cetera, et cetera. So the problem is when experience aligns with both character and substantive problems. And also, boy, talk about not an inspirational campaign, not a positive vision for the future, no energy. He was really low energy in those debates because I think that's where he's at in life. You got to put all that in the pot and say, okay, of course we're going to respect Andrew Cuomo's years of experience, but unfortunately they're kind of corrupted by all these other realities. So now you have this surprisingly less experienced candidate. What do you do? When I got to know Zohran, I got to know him a little bit when I was still mayor and he went into the assembly, but more recently over the year, over the course of his campaign, watching him, but also talking to him. First of all, he's just really intelligent. That counts for a lot in this work.
Yes, sir.
He listens, which is not a character trait of everyone in elective life, as I'm sure you know. He's thoughtful. He can handle criticism. I've seen ability to make adjustments and learn. I've seen him put some very good people around him. The things that took the kind of careful work, like coming to that alliance with Brad Lander, I've seen a lot of things that say to me, a little bit bad analogy, but good analogy, 2008 Obama campaign. What did Obama ever run to be president of the United States? But the campaign gave us confidence that he was a great communicator, great vision, also put great people around him. I've seen a lot of that with Zohran. Now, that is not to say we know what's going to happen in practice. But I think when I see a base level of sort of values, intelligence, ability to learn, it gives me the confidence someone can figure it out. And by the way, we had very experienced mayors, Koch, Giuliani, Bloomberg, who also turned out to be very divisive.
Yeah.
Explicitly.
Yeah.
And he's not that kind of person in my view. I think as a persona, he is much more multiculturally focused, unifier, etc.
An interesting comparison to Obama. I can definitely see that. Let's just look up Mamdani here and see what's going on. But that's a great comparison. Absolutely.
Let's talk about this race. We're getting a new look at the state of the race.
This is
with
6
primary
days
day
ago.
less than a week away. Polls showing former Governor Andrew Cuomo holding.
I want to see the most recent stuff, man. This is... I wonder if he's given a speech yet. That'd be great to see. Let's see on his channel. No, this is not his channel. All right, well, we have that. Interesting. I wanted to watch here what they did yesterday, even though it's a little less relevant, but it's interesting to see. In some parallel universe where Cuomo won de Blasio, I always loved Andrew Cuomo. I hate everything he says. That would be funny, man. Yeah, I mean, we have to be happy for de Blasio tonight. Very, very happy for him. Gabby Motivate says, as far as the state is concerned, de Blasio, man. Some air horns for de Blasio. He can't keep getting away with it. Oh, man. This is de Blasio. I mean, to de Blasio.
He can't keep getting away with it. He can't keep getting away with it.
But at least Cuomo didn't, right? Gavin Motivate says, as far as the state is concerned, though, there's a gubernatorial election in 2026, and I bet the dream geniuses already have a plan. LOL. Let's see in 26. That'd be fun to That'd be fun to cover too. Victoria says, when politicians vote, they record the vote is a permanent history of competency and sincere desire to lead a community they were elected to by and owe opportunity to. If people see Zohran, I see what you're saying, but these people, they're psychopaths usually. They tend to have no morals and stuff. So, if someone's offering them money, is hindered, it isn't something that the council will be able to hide. Absolutely. But you hinder Zohran, and what do you really lose if you're on the council, right? Because you're moving to a representative role, something bigger in the local scene. Can they attack you? Let's say Zohran does badly as mayor, if he wins. Can they attack you for not having taken part in a bad mayor's thing? Because that's the other thing. Oh, you didn't help him out. Well, I didn't help him out because look at how bad it was. It could have been worse if I had helped him out, So it's tough. Audio's enjoying that, yeah. And I hate everything says the state is different from the city. Absolutely, it's different. Absolutely. And then the city is more important, actually. The city is more important. So this was Zohran's interview with Stephen Colbert, and we're watching it because I want to see the attacks that are coming. I think that given the news in Iran, the Israel thing will be even more important, even though it shouldn't be, but it is. I'm sorry to say that. They're going to use this. They're going to be, you're a crazy Muslim that hates Israel and wants to make everyone wear a hijab and convert to Shia Islam. That's the crap they're going to be using. I didn't even know he was Shia. They're going to be, they're going to love that he's Shia. Ayatollah Zohran. I promise you that's coming. Ayatollah Mamdani. They're going to call him that ironically. You're going to see. I mean, tonight, he might say something because, just to interrupt really quick, he doesn't have the victory yet. If he doesn't have the victory, then he can't accept the nomination yet. Let's see here. Yeah, let's see. 43%. No one's breaking 51 tonight. No one is. No one's breaking 51. These second choice votes are irrelevant. These are the ones that matter, by the way. These are the ones that matter. Jen's Profit Pursuit says, I would never vote for a Muslim. Well, that's your personal opinion, and I respect it. I'm a faith-based voter sometimes as well, as a Catholic, but I don't really have a problem with Muslims myself. It's an interesting religion. It's their culture. But I'm glad he said that, because it points out that this is an attack that they're going to use on him. And I respect your opinion, and they're probably going to, if you can disqualify someone based on their faith, I'm sure there's plenty more people like that. All right, everything says the NYC Council is definitely going with everything Zohran says. The state is different. I see what you mean. Gabby Motivate says good strategy is good strategy, though. Yeah, good strategy is good strategy, whether it's racist, messed up, inaccurate. All that matters is winning. Winning. That's all that matters. I don't say that ironically. That is all that matters. Power and winning. I don't believe in men. I don't believe in politics. I believe in power. And that's all that matters. And people are waking up to that stuff. I hate everything says taxes on the rich and free bus program. He has to go through the state. I doubt the MTA and the governor will approve on a free bus program. I'm wondering, though, because I know it from the Miami experience. We had a moment here like 20 years ago, which is just terrible. Our sales tax is 7%. But in reality, it's 7.5%, because they put a 0.5% to do these stupid free trolleys that no one uses. And they did it, city. So I'm wondering if they could do something like that. I don't know what your sales tax is up there. I actually asked someone in New York what the sales tax once is, and they said they didn't know, which is insane. But a lot of people don't know sales tax, apparently. Could they do it something like that where they go fully local, or do they have to go through the state? Because the MTA is, of course, bigger than...
What do you say?
Everything said before that, I don't even see how it relates. Increased anti-Semitism in Israel, unless you're making that, which the far right does, where they go, oh, they're the same thing. Interesting. Bad Chemset says Schumer is the old bag, is next to send him to retirement. Absolutely. Get Chuck Schumer, get Nancy Pelosi out of office. Please, Democrats, get Nancy Pelosi out. Blue X says DSA is morally correct. I don't particularly agree with that, but morality has nothing to do with power and politics, in my opinion. So that is not a winning strategy in terms of morality, in my opinion. Natural Health says only in Boise. Sucks, man. Sucks. Adelex says all blue cities are just wide open anuses with money getting stuffed inside. I think that blue cities are definitely... I don't know, man. I think all city politics is like this. Miami's a red city in our politics, and well, no, we're half Dem, half Republican, and they're both pieces of shit, our mayors. So, Natural Health says I live in the largest wilderness in the lower 48. Very cool. We are all pretty much Republican. Very, very cool, man. I'm glad that you're liking it out there. Adelex says, oh, okay, it's clear now. Okay. Sorry, here because of the breaking news. Mr. Frank says Zohran is going to give a speech soon. Drop Site News is on location. I would definitely want to pull that up, but did he break 51? Because that's going to be odd if he didn't. What's he going to say? Let's see. I said it. No one's breaking 51 tonight. It's still stagnant. It's just... I wonder what he's going to say. Let's see what that is when it comes on. Please let me know, man. I'd appreciate it. I'd love to watch it and see what he has to say. I was right about open anus. Okay. Shaq Hack says nations don't have rights to exist. They simply exist. It's the people who have the right to exist. Yeah, I don't know what nation having the right to exist means personally. Like you said, nations exist or they don't, and that's all based on power, military force, maybe some liberal institutions like the UN and stuff. But are you going to tell me Somaliland doesn't exist because it's not recognized by the United Nations? No, you're not going to tell me that because it exists. So yeah, true. Gabby Motivate says, unfortunately, Republicans will definitely have a huge turnout in the general. That's possible, but even if that, it depends on what you want, really. I don't think they'd go for Sue. I think they'd go for someone like Adams. Maybe Cuomo, because Republicans have the memory of Goldfish, and they don't remember that he killed thousands of people. Frame, this is what I've criticized for a while. This should not be an issue that he even engages with, in my opinion. Victoria says, well answered, there was compassion, and there was real acknowledgement, and there was a solution. Get in there, Zohran. I get where you're coming from, but I disagree. I think that this is a bad answer. I think that he should just ignore this issue, just redirect it to something else, because I don't think it's a great issue to be on. Because you're playing within their frame. Their frame is you hate the Jewish community. You know what I mean? And if you start saying, no, I don't hate the Jewish community, I have all these programs, you're still in that frame versus going, what are you even talking about, man? I don't hate the Jewish community. I'm not going to sit here and you let me accuse me of being a Jew hater. That's not nice, okay? That's not how you conduct an interview. Haven't you been in broadcasting for 30 years? What kind of question is that? I think that's more effective, but that's just my opinion. Gabby Motivates says, Cobert said, and no justification for violence of any kind, raised eyebrow, like he fully expected Hamas to be like, oh, well, I support Hamas. Yes, but that raised eyebrow, I'm glad you noticed it. That is all subtle messaging. It's all subtle messaging that works. It won't work in the general. Moyne says PBD himself made a fortune by scamming people. Absolutely. Absolutely he did. I Hate Everything says he's a great talker. I'll give him that. Excellent communicator. Very Obama-esque. And more memorable than Obama. Is he going to be a great mayor? I'll give it till next year when it reaches summer. Why the summer in particular? Is it like a do the right thing type thing? Does it get worse in the summers up there? More challenging? Natural Off says, we just chased Antifa and BLM out for trying to cause chaos here. No way they ran scared in Idaho. We are allowed to conceal carry and defend ourselves. Yeah, concealed carry is a big issue for someone like me in Florida, because concealed carry, I think the benefits are very significant in preventing stuff like that. Whether you agree or disagree, I don't really care if it's a BLM or if it's Trump people or something. Concealed carry puts people, it makes them think a little more. I Hate Everything says, I don't see him doing well in NYC summer, unfortunately. Why the summer specifically, though? Gabby Motivate says, we'd really like to see the Jewish vote. And I Hate Everything says, Jewish vote went Cuomo. I think it did. It went, it had a bigger margin towards Cuomo, but it was still contested. And I'm sure that there will be more Jewish voters in the general, which is, this is baby steps, man. This is like the first lap of a 20-lap race.
Times before, I've been able to get attention today.
And as I said, you're the comptroller of the city. What is that?
Fair enough. Everything is under control.
Comptroller, yeah. Well, what do you do?
The chief financial officer in New York City.
Okay.
Manage the $275 billion pension fund that is the retirement security of teachers. And
Gabby asked, why do I think that answer is bad? I don't know if you mean the ones from before about Islam, but Islamophobia. But in either case, the ICE one, because I think that what would be the smartest thing for Democrats, in my opinion, I don't know if it'll help him win, but in terms of affecting policy, you want to work with Trump. Especially in New York, he's from there. I know it sucks, but you don't get to pick your friends, and it helps if you get someone in there who's nice to Trump. Trump is he's emotional about New York and Florida. He is going to want to get money in there. So opposing him outright is something I've always been critical of, in the sense of you want to get your agenda through, and with the federal help, it would be great. I mean, look at the example of Puerto Rico, right? Puerto Rico is a territory where the drinking age was never raised to 21, and the roads are a mess because you can't get funding with that. That's a micro example, but it shows you that same effect. You always want to lean on federal help. It doesn't matter if it's an opposing party. It doesn't matter. You want to use what you can to get your agenda accomplished. It's about power, Suzanne says the Colbert bump in effect. I wonder if this did have an effect, but it was very well planned on their part to go on. I'm surprised Cuomo didn't do something like this. And Gabby says, we don't know if it did, though. Polls were clearly wrong. Wondering if there's exit polling. I don't think the polls were wrong, and I don't think he's won. That's where I would disagree, because the polls, again, let's see here. We got some pretty crazy stuff, right? We got, oh, that's weird. Again, Cuomo is at 36%. The polls were not wrong. What they're wrong about is thinking that these voters are going to go to Cuomo. I disagree with that. I think these are more likely to go to Landau or Mamdani. But the polls, having it contested, was pretty good because it's ranked choice. He has not won yet. There has always been immigration law for good reason. Agree, not nature health. I agree. I Hate Everything says, all I know is we are definitely getting more bike lanes in NYC. LOL. yeah, most likely. Is that a good thing or a bad thing in your opinion? I'm not sure. I hate the bike lanes in Miami. They're really annoying. No one bikes here. And Gabby Motivates says Islamophobia. The reason it's a bad answer is because when you're in politics, you always want to break the frame. If they're accusing you of something, get out of that frame, because that way you don't have to be on the defensive. It immediately puts you on the defensive. And the defensive is not a good position to be in ever. You never want to be on the defensive. You always want to be on the offensive. You want to be attacking all the time. If you tell me, I don't know, if I'm running for office and you tell me you hate Panama, I'm going to go, whoa. We're using very strong words here. Hate. First of all, I'm a Catholic. I can't hate. That's not possible. Okay, so let's calm down there. Secondly, what are you talking about? Tell me what they put it on you. What did I say to make you think that? Oh, I said this and this and this. Listen, you're getting bad information. I'll state my position now if you want, but I'm not going based on the information that you've gotten out, even if the information is true, because you always want to be attacking. You never want to be defending. I hate everything says bad thing. I'm sure they are. Bike lanes are so annoying.
Okay.
All right, so you're the money guy for the city.
Guy for the city of
you're
New
the money
York.
guy.
Yes.
And wait a second, you're the money guy, and he's a democratic socialist. You're a socialist endorsing the money guy, and the money guy's endorsing the socialist guy. Why does socialism not scare you? Because socialism scares a lot of people.
I mean, look, I am a proud progressive, and I think that's in the tradition of New York City. I mean, this is an incredible city, generates so much creativity and energy and wealth. And the job of city government and of the money guy is to invest in the public goods that keep that thriving going and then share opportunities so much better. And that's what our schools are and our parks are and our libraries are. That's what we're paying for with all those dollars, and that's the city we love.
And I think what Brad has also shown by being the money guy is holding people accountable. Right? One of the main reasons that we know that Elon Musk took $80 million out of the city budget was because that was something that Brad discovered. And I think that
and we're going to get it back, so every penny.
And at the core of this is about actual accountability, because what we have is a federal administration in Washington that is authoritarian in its actions and its vision, and we deserve leadership here in New York City that is actually an alternative to it, not something that looks like a mirror image of it.
Well, I want to talk about that. I want to get back to what happened down at the court. So it is expressing its power.
I hate everything says bike lanes are annoying and a waste of space. Where from they use the bikes lanes for double parking because no one bikes. yeah, that's what we find here. But the bikers get very annoyed by it, right? Don't get me started with those city bike stations. LOL. We actually they were LARPing with those in Miami, and I think that no one really uses them. Biking is just, I don't know. I've seen it work in Amsterdam, but outside of that, I think it's a cultural thing. People like driving. I think that's why people really hated the congestion pricing, even though I just think it was poorly done. But congestion pricing is a cool concept, in my opinion. It's just not done well in the U.S. like it is in countries like Norway, where it's variable and it's cheaper and it changes in order to get traffic going. Gabby Motivate says, true, we need to get your message to the campaign. Listen, I'm a free agent, man. All I know is power politics. That's all I know, and I'll work for anyone because I like getting people into power. I want them to think in terms of power. Any politician that thinks in terms of power, I immediately respect a million times more. Grizz says, how long do you think it will take for him to implement free buses? Do you reckon? Well, if you go by I hate everything, which I'm inclined to believe, it's going to be incredibly difficult with the MTA. I don't think that that's going to be very possible. And if it is, it won't be anytime soon. In my opinion, based on the research I've done, as well as I hate everything's research, which he's shared in the chat very kindly. I hate everything says, as a New Yorker, I highly doubt he's going to get that free bus program. I agree. He has to go through the MTA and the governor. Yep. The only way is, like I said, but I don't know how the MTA works. Maybe you do it totally local and you start at a trolley level, you raise sales tax, which I don't think that'd be popular with anyone. But, in New York in this time to have more stuff being paid. I think after the Roosevelt Hotel, man, I walked by it. That was a disaster. I don't know how New Yorkers didn't get more pissed off at that, because I found out relatively early, then I saw some people cover it. The Roosevelt Hotel is owned by the National Airline of Pakistan. So the city of New York was paying Pakistan to house people who were in, waiting for statuses and immigration. So I don't know how you really do it. Victoria says KL. Not sure what you mean there. I hate everything says get Lander out. We're almost done with Lander. And Grizz says that's disappointing. I thought that would have been a real impactful change. Yeah, I think that, dude, just getting a better transit system in any city is a good idea, always.
And
I hate everything says average New Yorkers hated illegal immigration. I don't doubt it, man. I saw some really sketchy, I'm Venezuelan, so I can say it, really sketchy Malandro Venezuelans, very scary people in Times Square. First time I've seen that outside of Venezuela. And I was like, how are these people here? They're scary. Our gangsters are on another tier of gangster. Victoria says, how do you define power? How do you measure it? How do you identify it in others as opposed to who we're meant to assume is power? Power is who can affect change, right? So power is, it's not something you can quantify. I'm sure there's a way of doing it if you're like Robert McNamara or something, but power is more so just, can you effectuate the change? Can you implement your policy? Would you say that Donald Trump has power? You'd say he has some power. A lot of this stuff is being done through executive orders and is probably not permanent, so the power isn't really there. Powerful institutions in the United States up till recently, the New York Times was a very powerful organization, okay? This is much more clear in a third world context, right? If you look at Venezuela, who has the power there? The PSUV, the main political party, and Maduro sets the tone for that, as well as there's other power centers in that. There is the head of the army, Vladimir Padrino. There is Diosdado Cabello, the head of the Congress. And these guys are fighting it out, and they are fighting to see who can implement their agenda. In the United States, it's complicated to say who has the power. Definitely media has a lot of power. Specific media, the New York Times, I know people don't think it's relevant, but it's an incredibly relevant publication. When you want to get something done, you put it in the New York Times. So that's how you measure power. And that's why when Zohran said in that AOC thing, I don't want to have a moral victory, I want to have a real victory, I took him a little more seriously, because a lot of people, what they want to do is just go out there and stand on their soapbox and talk. And okay, you can change people's minds, but at the end of the day, democracy's fake, man. It's completely fake. It's very rare that democratic movements go anywhere. The Peasants' Revolt in England 500 years ago was one of the few examples of that. Because if you have the power, you are there and you can implement your agenda. And that is a very difficult thing to achieve. But once it's achieved, you can do it. I mean, Julius Caesar did it, right? Hugo Chavez did it. Joseph Stalin did it. Francisco Franco did it. Franklin Roosevelt, a very powerful guy, that packing the court scheme was a genius move. So that's how you get power. Power is not about concessions. It's not about anything. It's about getting stuff. And Zohran's coming to speak. So let's see what Zohran has to say.
People understand my concerns about affordability are real. His plans about dealing with affordability issues in this city are real as well. And I should give him a chance. And I think that this one, those numbers.
Let's get through here. I hate everything says, Gabby Motivate says, average New Yorkers know someone undocumented, LOL. Yeah, but it was a lot of people, and it's definitely, I don't know, walking through Queens, I saw it where like there were Venezuelan pimps and Venezuelan sex workers, and it was a lot of people. It was pretty scary to see. I haven't seen that outside of Venezuela, so it was a lot of people. I could understand why even people who are amenable on the undocumented immigrant front were pretty fed up, you know. I hate everything says talk to New Yorkers. They hated the illegal immigration flux. Gabby Motivate says glorious immigrant city. The city, I hate everything. The city gave them prepaid credit cards. Legal immigrants hated the illegal immigrants. I can see that, man. In Miami, we saw that where people that were legal were very, very angry with the benefits that illegal immigrants were getting. I guess technically they're not illegal because they claimed asylum. But if you're claiming asylum when there's no real reason to, like most Venezuelan immigrants did, you're actually doing illegal immigration. So that's the reality of it. Gabby Motivate says maybe your average New Yorker lives in Ozone Park. I don't know what that is. Natural says regular hardworking citizens have to earn pursuit of happiness, right? It's not given, so why should illegals get everything given to them? Yeah, that was a very common refrain during the elections, and it was effective, you know. Victoria says for sure, thank you, Victoria. And yeah, we can get on that campaign. It'd be great. I'd love to help anyone win. That'd be really cool. I hate everything says a huge amount of legal immigrants dislike illegal immigrants. Absolutely. Mr. Frank says Dropside is interviewing the video person for Team Zohran. Let's see what Dropside is doing. Let's see that. Oh, cool.
And then my creative partner and I run a small creative studio called Melted Solid.
And yeah, they came here the fair way is why I hate everything says. Yep. I actually saw some people complaining that saying that is not nice because a lot of people got amnestied in, but that was mostly Mexican Americans that got amnestied in under Reagan. So obviously legal immigrants are going to be a little bit unhappy when they see illegal immigrants getting a whole lot of benefits that they didn't have access to. I mean, dude, it's just true. Like in my own case, like my parents and stuff, you know, they really had to struggle. They didn't get prepaid credit cards, or I think they were getting a couple $1,000s in for rent at the border. My parents didn't get that, and it hurts, especially as an American, when you watch that. You know, I understand I'm not an American. I'm first gen. I'm barely American, right? But I put in my time, you know, and And I would appreciate some help with the rent, but, you know, I wasn't coming in claiming asylum. So, Rizzy says, does morality realistically ever have any place in process of acquiring power in the U.S.? Absolutely not. It has no place anywhere. Morality is a human construct in terms of politics. There is morality if you believe in it, but it is self-imposed. Just know that. You know, I'm a Catholic, so I have a sense of morality. But morality is completely out of the picture, man. At the end of the day, whoever you think is immoral, was Stalin moral? Was Mustache Man moral? Was Hugo Chavez moral? Who cares? They got the power. You know, they won. And at the end of the day, you know, a few years ago, I would have been more for lost causes. But no, lost causes are lost causes because they're lost, because they suck. Power is everything. Power is everything. And if you can use morality to bully people into giving you power, that'd be cool. But I haven't seen that work ever. Just complaining your way to power is tough. It's really tough to do. Maybe in some European coalition governments, it's possible. Jen's Profits says, I don't know how NYC is okay with spending billions of dollars on illegals, given that they could have went to the city in a more positive way. Yeah. I was really confused with the illegal Venezuelans, and I followed that story particularly closely. The Venezuelans coming into the country, because it's my heritage, right? And dude, they shot a Brazilian woman in a store in New York. You know how hard it is to get a gun in New York legally, and the Venezuelans are just coming in and doing that kind of stuff. It's terrible. You know, that was really scary. I didn't like seeing that, because especially this is why immigrants are harder, I think, is because when I see that, what I'm imagining is what happened in Venezuela, where they come up to you, they knock on your window, and you have to give them your shit from your car. You have to do it. Otherwise, you're going to die, and you might die regardless. So it's scary for people. And I understand where they're coming from, you know? Gabby says, I don't know. I don't think this is true. Most immigrant families are blended. I think a lot of Mexican American families are blended in status. Maybe Venezuelans now, but I think in status, for example, Cubans, very few illegal Cuban immigrants for a variety of reasons. A lot of people that were on TPS, you know, from Hurricane Mitch, Nicaraguans and stuff, Hondurans, you know, I don't know if they're exactly, you know, blended, but yeah, I mean, I probably have some third cousin here illegally. I don't know, you know, it's possible, it's probable. Everything says legal immigrants had to work to come over here, and you had the city bending down for illegal immigrants for political gain. That's what I think people found offensive, was the money. The money was what I was particularly offended by, because I understand the argument. And the fact is that no one actually cares about solving the illegal immigration crisis. Because the illegal immigration crisis is, at the end of the day, it's a product of capital. It's not a product of anything else. It's a product of people want cheap laborers. And until they go after the people doing that, and E-Verify is not the solution. E-Verify is a totalitarian thing that you don't want to happen. It's very scary. Libertarians have been right on this. E-Verify is probably the worst way of doing this. They will have a data bank of every American, and it's not good. But until you go after these companies, until the CEO of Tyson goes to jail for employing illegal immigrants, it's not going to get solved. So don't take anyone seriously who says they're going to solve this problem until they do that. And that's why Donald Trump, he said, what was it? He said that he was making exemptions. When you make exemptions, you're showing me you don't care about the issue, that it's a political issue. Jen says an expected $12 billion through FY 2025. Don't know what you're referring to there. And Grizz says that's fair. That's terrifying. Yeah, it was. Dude, a lot of immigrants, like, you know, we're all happy-go-lucky, you know, happy to be in America, but a lot of people had to go through some rough shit, man. A lot of rough shit. And they don't like seeing it in the country where they've arrived to, where they're saying, oh, I'm here for a better life, you know? Think of, even on the fictional upper scale level, if you've ever seen that movie Concussion, that Nigerian doctor was... in the film, I don't know what happened in real life, was just disgusted with the way the American football lobby worked, you know? So it's really terrible, you know, because it reminded him of Nigeria and Nigerian corruption. So a lot of immigrants, you know, they portray something on the surface, but at the end of the day, they're kind of scared of this country becoming what it can't be. Reagan had a moment where a Cuban guy came up during a speech and he said, Mr. Reagan, you have to save the country because there's nowhere else for my people to go. And that may sound silly. I know people, you know, they don't view the Cuban issue in a very fair way, in my opinion. But it's just true. It's just true. A lot of immigrants feel that way, and they're scared, and they don't want to see things go back to the way they are. So let's see here.
The other day, Kid Mero, he was very loud.
He was very what?
He was very loud.
Oh, unlike you.
I am so loud. I can't believe I'm not being loud enough.
It's a very loud party. It's not your fault.
Griffin, I respect you so much.
I respect you too. Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you for letting me on this.
Of course. Yeah. Wow. Did we get her loud enough, chat? I thought that was pretty loud.
Natural Love says, even Americans go through rough just because we are born here. We don't have it easy. Brother, I'm telling you, there's poverty that it's not like in America. The worst neighborhoods in the United States don't compare to the second worst neighborhoods in most places. And I'm not saying it's not an oppression Olympics. I'm just saying that people who especially come from those areas and come to the United States, they're really scared of this place becoming that. And they don't like the signs of it becoming that. And it scares them, you know. It's just a fact. I know that there's rough areas here, but it's not the same.
I mean, we obviously want Zohran, but I don't know if that's going to... I mean, everybody wants Zohran. All right, I'm
I hate everything. Says, look at all those transplants and hipsters in the crowd.
A little bit more clout than I do.
A lot of young people.
Get some people. Oh, beautiful.
So we're joined now by Adnan Gabragorgis, who was a candidate in 2020.
All right, everyone's waiting for Zohran, so we'll come back to it. Let's finish here.
I get to a couple of the things here. New York is a big old town, okay? It's old. It's not necessarily machine politics like the Chicago that I used to live in, but there are a lot of bodies buried, you know?
Still a lot of machine politics here.
Okay, and one of the things that people say that they'll vote for Cuomo is like, he knows where the bodies are buried. He knows how things are done. Mr. Mamdani, you're 33 years old. You know, a fresh
age will be a huge attack. Absolutely, it will be a huge attack on him. And unfortunately, I know it doesn't matter. You know it doesn't matter, but the boomers, they are terrified of anyone under 45. So it matters. It matters. RA says, do you think non-citizens should be able to vote? I don't believe in voting in general, so not really my issue. I mean, whatever you want to do. If voting did anything, they'd make it illegal, right? So not really my issue. But, you know, on a normal basis, I'd probably say no. I'd probably say it's a bad idea. Because, you know, the nation has a right to choose its destiny, and these people are not part of the nation. But you know, I don't believe in voting, so I don't think my input there is really important. I believe in voting to achieve power, but that's it. Grizz says, drinks are flowing tonight. Absolutely they are. Look at these guys. They're having a great time. Oh, no, not Lander again. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry we have to watch Lander again. We're almost done here. That's a ridiculous answer. I don't think it's ridiculous. All right. I mean, if you believe voting changes everything, you know, go out there and vote. Voting is great stuff, man. Go spend time voting. Voting has really gotten us. Voting has really fixed America, right? Voting has really made things a lot better throughout this country's history, right? Natural Love says, poor, believe me, I have watched my mom sweep a dirt floor, lived without power in crowd camps and tents, so I have lived in the poorest of the poor. I hunt for my food and grow it. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Not denying your struggle. I'm sure everyone has their struggles. Just saying that a lot of stuff is, you know. RA, you just showed your complete ignorance. Ever heard of the 2000 election, kid? Yeah, I'm from Miami, so it's a pretty important part of my life. Yeah, the 2000 election, if you think it was decided by voting instead of, you know, actual power, you know, the Supreme Court, Bill Clinton's backsided deal, in my opinion, with the Bush campaign, Elian Gonzalez, Waco, Janet Reno. If you think it was voting that decided that election, then you're wrong. It had little to do with voting, because even when you voted, hanging Chads was a whole other BS thing they made. So voting does not matter. It's not the real way of winning power. It's a part of it, but if you think that voting is going to get you anywhere, I have a bridge to sell you. RA, Bush won by 500 votes and changed the country. Yeah, he didn't win by 500 votes. It was decided. Okay. Gabby Motivate says, Grizzly says, chill. I'll chill. Gabby Motivate says, voting just did something. Do you think that they're about to make it illegal? No, but at the end of the day, if Zohran achieves power, look, it still hasn't done it because they have a week to work on these machines. He does not have the 51%. He does not. Voting can achieve things, but at the end of the day, if they want to change things in the back end, they can. And because they have the power. So they can do whatever they want. That's just the reality of it. Voting and democratic elements, of course, have an effect on stuff, especially in a primary of a local election, of course. But yeah, like, quite honestly, they can just work things, right? They can work things out however they want. You're dependent on them unless there's some real mass thing. The most important thing for Zohran, beyond voting, would be to create elites, to create people in his circle who are elites, and they can manage voting, they can manage voting patterns, they can manage things like that. But the voting itself is not the important thing. It's how do you control that? How do you sway it? Look, I'll give you a perfect example. In the last election for governor in DeSantis in Florida, the second time he won, they re-gridded Miami so it went red. It didn't go red because people voted red. It's because they at the top decided how to map out the city in a way that was favorable to the Republican Party. Why did they do that? Because Republicans were in power all the way up. That's why. Because they can do that. Because they're smarter. They know that the vote is not what matters. Everything says, I can see where you're coming from. Look at China. They're probably more effective in getting stuff done. Absolutely. I've been to China. China's a society that works incredibly well. Incredibly well. It's the safest place I've been to, except, yeah, it's the safest place. You go to Shanghai, it feels nothing like New York. RA says, so what's your solution? So what's my answer? My answer is power. That's all I believe in, power. I hate everything says there's too much tribalism in America and politics to get stuff done. Absolutely. And beyond the tribalism, it's just that no one is really creating elites, right? Because Trump has created a lot of lapdogs, but those aren't elites. You want people that will effectuate your policy and know the nature of power. And that's hard to do, man. You have to start creating that 10 years before you run for office. It's very hard to do. You can't do that ad hoc. That's why the first Trump admin was a total disaster in terms of appointing people and stuff, because you didn't have that. You need to have a tight group of people. If you want to look at power outside of politics, look at the Scientologists. Scientologists are accused of all sorts of things, but they have their group of people who are smart and who work their way into power, and they work around power. So that's how it works. Let's see here. Victoria says, once we stop paying politicians more than farmers, nurses, and teachers, will value nutrition, health, and education. It also leaves the people sincere and wanting to make their community better. I think that's possible, but look at the Singapore model, right? Singapore pays them like $1 million a year in order to ensure that they can only care about it. And it makes the races a lot more competitive, because if you pay them more, they're more incentivized to actually do their job than rather work for lobbyists and stuff like that. I mean, look up how much a state senator or a state representative makes. They make like nothing. They make very little money. And that's why they're so easily swayed on things that you thought that they were good at, you know? RA says, you actually think Zohran has the answers, a guy who's never had a job? I never said that. Point to me where I said that. And you are actually praising China. Well, visit China and see if it works, because it fucking works. I've been to the future and it works. I'll say that about China.
Face is very good. New ideas are very good, but why should the city trust someone with so little governmental, especially executive experience, to run the greatest city on earth?
No, I think it's a moment for New Yorkers to ask themselves what kind of experience we want. Because what we see in Andrew Cuomo is the experience of resigning in disgrace, the experience of cutting Medicaid, of cutting hundreds of millions of dollars in funding for the MTA, of hounding the more than the dozen women who courageously stepped forward to credibly accuse him of sexual harassment. The experience that I offer is that one that I'm very proud of. You know, as Brad was saying earlier, I think of the experience of Richard Chow, a taxi driver who lost his brother to suicide. Someone who had been sold a dream by the city as a ticket to the middle class.
This is a good talking point along with his DoorDash attacks, but he should attack Uber. I think that'd be a great attack and a really good thing, because you'd activate a lot of people that remember their livelihoods being destroyed by Uber and the gig economy in New York. I think that's a great thing to go on in the general.
I organized alongside Richard and thousands of working class taxi drivers won $500 million in debt relief that brought so many of these drivers back in the dignity that they'd been denied. And alongside that, won the single largest infusion of money for the MTA's operating service in better subways, better bus service,
the first of its kind fare-free bus pilot, a track record of fighting for working-class New Yorkers. And ultimately, in this moment, we can also see a glimpse of how we would run the city in the campaigns that we're running.
Well, for both of you gentlemen, what's your relationship with like unions, with police? Those are the things that run this city. What's your relationship with the police?
Well, look, you know, that's my job.
That's also underrated. The police union is going to have a huge effect on this election as well, and I don't think Zohran can really talk his way out of the defund the police tweets and stuff. So it's going to be an uphill battle for him on that end. Grizz says China's very safe. Absolutely, super safe. Baba says RA stops spending. Gabby says, yeah, I think the Singapore model is right. The Singapore model is interesting. It's also pretty totalitarian, not authoritarian, a totalitarian society. So if you want to live there, you know, you have to be a certain kind of person. You know, I don't know if it'll work in America, but definitely, you know, it could work. Maybe you pay them more, but I'm sure they'd find a way of messing it up, to be honest here. Singapore's small. They also have that advantage versus America's huge, you know. Maybe on the local level it'd be cool to do that kind of thing. In Miami, if these guys got paid $1 million, maybe they'd stop being so corrupt. That'd be cool. RA says Uber works. Okay. All right, dude. Look, I'll just go into it in general. Uber is a criminal organization that was started by doing illegal things such as putting trackers in the people who were meant to regulate them on their phones. They went backdoor through Apple. They destroyed the livelihoods of people who made good money as taxi drivers. They lowered fares and then raised them. And all the while, they have provided very little value to society, unless you're a libertarian who believes that. And I'm not a libertarian. Gabby says it's being real about the fact that politicians want and can get money through their position. Absolutely. You cannot control human nature. And I'll say it myself. If I were making $30K a year as a state representative in Florida, I'd be taking money from anyone and everyone because I want money, you know? Taxis are obsolete. Yeah, they are obsolete now. So what? I thought you were into... All right.
Controller, I invest their pension funds, and I'm happy to say last year their pension funds were up 10%. I work closely with representatives, even as we invest in more affordable housing and show how you could run the city well.
All right, how about you? What's your relationship like with the police?
You know, it's a relationship where when I've had conversations with rank and file officers who've told me that they joined the police force to tackle serious crimes, I've heard their frustrations that they've instead been asked to play almost every single role that city government can imagine. The same people who thought they were signing up to deal with shootings are instead playing the roles of mental health professionals and social workers. And ultimately, it's part of why we see 200 officers leave the department every single month, with about a quarter considering doing so, because we're not letting them do their actual jobs. And that's part of our vision. Let the police do the critical work that they do towards creating public safety. Let's create a Department of Community Safety to have dedicated teams of mental health outreach workers and social workers in our subways responding to homelessness and the mental health crisis.
Well, one of the things, and I know we're going a little long here. You know, people, like there's an old saw that says, just, you know, make sure the potholes are filled, okay? It's what's going on in everyone's neighborhood. People in New York are distraught because the city's dirty. There's rats everywhere. There's moped chaos is not the top thing on my list, but also crime. You know, crime. What can you do? Quality of life. A lot of empty storefronts around the city. How do you increase as mayor? What do you do to restore the city to a sense of vitality?
Well, yeah. Well, first, you need a well-run city government to deliver the services, to pick up the garbage, to keep the streets clean and safe, to run the schools well. So first, you got to sweep up.
All right. Mr. Frank says that his campaign... Oh, perfect. Let's see it. We have no audio here. Let's see these chats. Does Zohran have the ability to surround himself with people to get the job done once in office? Says Grizz. I'm not sure. You would have to have started building that team 2 years ago. If he has to do it now, it's going to be tough, but he could do it.
It is deeply moving to look out and see so many of the friends who have built this electric campaign. We have so many leaders here tonight, but I want to recognize our very first endorsers. Those who believed in us before New York knew Zohran's name. So, let's hear a round of applause for...
That's going to haunt him in the general, the DSA chance. This is not the group to be surrounded with now that you're going for the general.
Our loved ones, our elected partners, our volunteers, absolutely amazing Everyone in this room has contributed to a disciplined, bold, and principled campaign. It has been run by the left and organized to win. Ours has been a campaign of trust, of joy, of camaraderie, and I am immensely proud to be a part of it alongside all of you. 5 years ago, before my first day as Zohran's chief of staff, we sat together and we articulated the vision for the movement that we hoped to build. Each day, we would work to embody the values of a better world. We would campaign, legislate, and organize in a way to make these values true by our actions. We would resist the creeping fascist tide through trust, and we would build trust by acting trustingly. And it has been the same with this campaign. We have already realized an image of city we want and we deserve. Together and strengthen our shared and families, neighbors, and tenants. Bonds, friendship, bonds between families, neighbors. This campaign has never achieved.
I'm sorry. I think this is literally the only stream covering this, which is unfortunate because the quality is not great. Let's see here. Gabby says, haha, no, I don't want to live there. It's just a logical way to reduce corruption. Absolutely. The Singapore model is very logical. It makes sense. It works for them. You know, everything says DSA is annoying. The DSA is, I just don't think that they're very effective. I agree with you. Because I saw them on college campuses and they weren't very effective. Does no media organization have a mic connected to her, says Gabby. I don't think so. This is literally the only stream where this is on.
Around you. And don't forget, these are our people. And you are not powerless. I am so proud. We are now. It is my honor to introduce one of Trump's first racers and when first elected to the assembly. Our Congresswoman, working class champion, and incredible partner of our campaign, Congresswoman Nydia. Our Congresswoman, working class Congresswoman Nydia.
Bill says the AP has a stream. Let's check it out. You can always count on the AP. Let's see. Okay, let's see.
Working class
Perfect.
champion and incredible partner of our campaign, Congresswoman Nydia.
Thank you, Bill.
We want to hear from Zohran, so thank you so much. I am just so proud of all of you for the work that you put together to get to this moment. And to work so hard for the city that we all love. So let me just say, hello, Long Island City! What a night! do it. You believe in this movement when the pundit said it
See, this is smart.
couldn't be done.
Claiming victory.
You knock on doors, make calls, talk.
Claiming victory is the best thing they could do, even though they haven't officially won. Puts the other campaigns in a hard position, especially if Lander catches up to him.
Zohran Mamdani brought people from every background together around a simple, powerful idea that New York City should be a city for everyone. Not just the wealthy, not just the well-connected. Everyone. He spoke to the struggles we all see. Rising rents, crumbling public services, working families barely hanging on, and he gave us something real to believe in. There is not special formula here. It's about listening to our people, to our community, and putting together a vision
They should be streaming this
for the
themselves.
future of this city. You know what? The billionaires are watching this moment. And they are going to spend everything they got to stop Zohran. Why? Because they know that this campaign threatens business as usual, and they are scared. So tonight we celebrate, but tomorrow we got back to work. We are going to knock even more doors. We are going to organize in every borough. We are going to turn this people power victory into a movement that takes us all the way to City Hall. Together, we are going to elect Zohran as the next mayor of New York. And change our city forever. But this is the thing. The city has changed.
People say this stream is better.
And then we're going to bring on the candidate. Just 2 minutes and I'll be gone. Just listen. All throughout my public career, I have rejected the politics of fear. The politics of division. The politics of hate. The bias of low expectations. And Zohran, all throughout this campaign, rejected all of that as well. He kept focused on his message. He wasn't concerned about the money. It was all about the power of the message, the power of his word. And so, I saw in my beloved Brooklyn and all throughout this city that this campaign was fueled. It was fueled by the power of people. People yearning for change in this city. People
This
who
is
heard
Tish
his
James.
message.
Yeah.
And we all came together. And I want those who are listening, will heal this city. And I want all of you to know that you need to understand that Zohran is really a man who respects the humanity of everyone. The primary is now over. And tonight, we celebrate the victory.
Wow.
Tonight represents a resounding win. His critics said that he should wait his turn. His critics said that he didn't have the experience. His critics said that he didn't have the right name. Well, now all of them know his goddamn name. What's his name? 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 Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Democratic nominee for the city of New York, Zohran Mamdani.
Wow, claiming victory is pretty. That's good politics there. That's smart. He already won then, in the minds of his voters, which is a great way of building a force. And look at him walk in. Let's see what he has to say. Oh no, not Tish James says I hate everything. She literally ran on Trump and that's it, dude. But you have the Attorney General endorsing your victory. That's pretty crazy. That's really smart.
Thank you, my friends. Tonight, we made history. In the words of Nelson Mandela, it always seems impossible until it is done. My friends, we have done it. I will be your Democratic nominee for the mayor of New York City. An hour ago, I spoke with Andrew Cuomo about the need to bring this city together as he called me to concede the race. And I want to thank Brad Lander. Who did exactly that. Together we have shown the power of the politics of the future. One of partnership and of sincerity.
Today, 8 months after launching this campaign, with the vision of a city that every New Yorker could afford, we have won. We have won from Harlem to Bay Ridge. We have won from Jackson Heights to Port Richmond. We have won from Maspeth to Chinatown. We have won because New Yorkers have stood up for a city they can afford. A city where they can do more than just struggle. One where those who toil in the night can enjoy the fruits of their labor in the day. Where hard work is repaid with a stable life. Where 8 hours on the factory floor or behind the wheel of a cab is enough to pay the mortgage. It is enough to keep the lights on. It is enough to send your kid to school. Where rent-stabilized apartments are actually stabilized. Where buses are fast and free. Where childcare doesn't cost more than CUNY. And where public safety keeps us truly safe. And it's where the mayor will use their power to reject Donald Trump's fascism. To stop mass ICE agents from deporting our neighbors. And to govern our city as a model for the Democratic Party. A party where we fight for working people with no apology. A life of dignity should not be reserved for a fortunate few. It should be one that city government guarantees for each and every New Yorker. If this campaign has demonstrated anything to the world, it is that our dreams can become reality. Dreaming demands hope. And when I think of hope, I think of the unprecedented coalition of New Yorkers that we have built. For this is not my victory. This is ours. It is the victory of the Bangladeshi auntie who knocked on door after door until her feet throbbed and her knuckles ached. It is the victory of the 18-year-old who voted in their first ever election. And it is the victory of the Gambian uncle who finally saw himself and his struggle in a campaign for the city that he calls home. Dreaming demands solidarity. And when I look out at this room and out onto the midnight skyline, that is what I see. Canvas launches that continued in the pouring rain. Children who called parents. Strangers who care about those they will never meet. A New York that believes in each other and in itself. This is solidarity. And it defines our victory. And above all, dreaming demands work. Last Friday night, as the sun began to drop in the sky, I set off on a 13-mile walk from the northernmost tip of Manhattan to the base of the island. We began in Inwood, where music played and neighbors set out dominoes on the sidewalk. It was 7 p.m., The weekend had arrived. For most people, the time for work was over. But this is New York, where the work never ends. Waiters carried plates on 181st Street. Conductors drove the subways that rattled high above 125th. And world-class musicians tuned instruments as we passed Lincoln Square. By the time we made it downtown, a crowd marched behind us, a living embodiment of the energy and purpose that defines this campaign. Still, long past midnight, New York worked. Garbage trucks weaved through empty streets. Fishmongers carried in tomorrow's wares. And when we finally arrived at the Battery at 2:20 a.m. in the morning, the workers who run the Staten Island Ferry were on the job too. Just as they are every hour of the day, every day of the week. Each of these New Yorkers carried a dream with them that night as they labored. Just as each of us dreams of a New York that is more hopeful and affordable for all. And we have worked hard for our dream. This has been a historically contentious race. One that has filled our airwaves with millions in smears and slander. I hope now that this primary has come to an end. I can introduce myself once more. Not as you've seen me in a 30-second ad or in a mailer in your mailbox, but as how I will lead as your mayor. I will be the mayor for every New Yorker. Whether you voted for me, for Governor Cuomo, or felt too disillusioned by a long, broken political system to vote at all, I will fight for a city that works for you, that is affordable for you, that is safe for you. I will work to be a mayor you will be proud to call your own. I cannot promise that you will always agree with me, but I will never hide from you. If you are hurting, I will try to heal. If you feel misunderstood, I will strive to understand. Your concerns will always be mine, and I will put your hopes before my own. And I know that those hopes extend beyond our 5 boroughs. There are millions of New Yorkers who have strong feelings about what happens overseas. I am one of them. And while I will not abandon my beliefs or my commitments, grounded in a demand for equality, for humanity, for all those who walk this earth, you have my word to reach further, to understand the perspectives of those with whom I disagree, and to wrestle deeply with those disagreements. Let me close with this. In these dark times, I know that it is harder than ever to keep faith in our democracy. It has been attacked by billionaires and their big spending, by elected officials who care more about self-enrichment than the public trust, and by authoritarian leaders who rule through fear. But above all, our democracy has been attacked from within. For too long, New Yorkers have strained to find a leader who represents us, who puts us first. And we have been betrayed time and again. After so many disappointments, the heart hardens. Belief becomes elusive. And when we no longer believe in our democracy, it only becomes easier for people like Donald Trump to convince us of his worth. For billionaires to convince us that they must always lead. As FDR said, democracy has disappeared in several other great nations. Not because the people disliked democracy, but because they had grown tired of unemployment and insecurity, of seeing their children hungry while they sat helpless in the face of government confusion and weakness. In desperation, they chose to sacrifice liberty in the hope of getting something to eat. New York, if we have made one thing clear over these past months, it is that we need not choose between the two. We can be free and we can be fed. We can demand what we deserve. And together we have built a movement where everyday New Yorkers recognize themselves in our vision of democracy. Every new voter registered, that is faith renewed. Every voter who traveled through withering heat to the polls, that is faith renewed. And every New Yorker who sees solutions to the daily challenges they face in this campaign, that is faith renewed. Together, New York, we have renewed our democracy. We have given our city permission to believe again. And I pledge to you that we will remake this great city, not in my image, but in the image of every New Yorker who has only known struggle. In our New York, the power belongs to the people. And as I thank the people that are here with me today, and as I thank the incredible leaders who have long fought for those people, who are here across this crowd and across these 5 boroughs and standing next to me in the Attorney General of this state, in the Public Advocate of this city, in our Congresswoman, Nydia Velasquez, in our Controller, Brad Lander, and in every single person who believed in this campaign long before it was easy to do so. And you believed when it was difficult. We dreamt in the night, and we are now building in the dawn. That new day, the one that we have yearned for, the one that we have struggled for, the one that we have knocked for, have texted for, have called for, the one that we have obsessed over. That new day is finally here, my friends. And it is here because you have delivered it. Thank you.
Great power politics to claim the victory.
Thank you. I must thank those who brought me into this world. I must thank my mother and my father. and Mahmoud. And I must thank... And I must thank my incredible wife, Rama Duaji. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now let us lead this city into one that is affordable for each and every New Yorker.
So again, great power politics to claim victory. Very smart. I hadn't seen his wife. Yes, always claim victory. Because if Cuomo conceded, you might as well claim it. If Lander conceded, basically, even though he hasn't won this for sure yet, I think it's more than likely, and especially if he's already created the image. He did kind of flip-flop on it. At one point, he was like, it looks like we're going to win. But overall, pretty good. Not good to bring up the Israel thing. Should not have brought that up, especially with the general coming. But overall, good power politics. Very Obama-esque, in the way that he's conducting himself. I'm sure the speechwriters, I think, are it has to be a team now, and they're pretty good, because this was a good speech, as well as his training. He's not moving his hands as much as he used to. He made fun of it in an ad, but now he really sees the benefits of that by looking a lot more calm and reserved, which is what you need in the general. So interesting, very unifying Obama 08 message, but it doesn't feel stale. So that's pretty cool. I didn't even know that was possible. That's really, really, really cool. Again, he hasn't won it. I'm not sure if he will, but it looks like it. And the reality, he has created the new reality. He has won in his reality, which is how you actually win. So very, very cool. Let's just get through these chats here. Congratulations to all the hipster and transplants. I hate everything. Chances he'll get assassinated. Gabby motivates. I doubt that. But you know what? It's not a bad concern, depending on how heated the Middle East discussion gets on the campaign. That wouldn't be unusual, right? Do you hear the small cheers for public safety? I can already see him failing in public safety. I doubt he'll get assassinated. Yeah, the public safety, he didn't really focus on it. Should have focused on a lot of the other stuff, more of the positive vision, not talking about the other stuff that has detracted voters, Oh boy, here we go with the Trump nonsense. Yes, the Trump mention, the fascism mention, not a great look in my opinion. Makes him look a little extreme in my view, but that's just my view. Could be wrong. Maybe it works in New York. Trash public advocate. I think you meant Tisha there. You really do hate everything. Yeah, but he's smart, man. This guy knows his stuff. As a New Yorker born here, you just start to hate everything. I've noticed that attitude in New York for sure. So everyone, yeah, that's great power politics from Mamdani. You're saying here, I hate everything. I hope Mamdani does well. But I highly doubt someone privileged like Mamdani who grew up in the bubble. It's easy to preach when ignorant. Hey, but I'm with you, man. I hope he does well. We have to hope these people do well. Now is the real fun. I thought this would end these streams, but now comes the real challenge. The real challenge in terms of who's going to win here in the long term. And we get to see the most racist attack ads. I promise you, they're going to be extremely racist in the United States, probably in 20 years come out against this guy. So it's going to be a great election here. And it's going to be such a fucking mess with Cuomo running and with Adams running. And even this, we're going to see how this mess goes here, because he's winning right now, but let's see how much of the percentage he actually got in the end with ranked choice, because it's going to make things different. Gabby motivates, yes, because it's unaffordable. It is unaffordable, and it does need some sort of answer. Hopefully Mamdani is that. And Mr. Frank says public advocate is Jumaane Williams. Oh, okay. But it's a power move to have the attorney general there, So yeah, everyone. I mean, let's see how this actually plays out. I'm very interested to see what the final numbers are, total turnout. It's going to be very cool to see, and we're going to have a lot of fun because we get to cover this for the rest of the race. And the rest of the race, I promise you, is going to become absolutely disgusting. I bet everyone is going to come out angry. It's going to be like an episode of reality TV after this, where everyone is going to hate each other because they are going to say the most disgusting things to each other as this race progresses. And yeah, get ready for jihadi-backed communist to be a new thing. So with that, everyone, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I think we've learned a lot of stuff here today. Appreciate your chats. You guys brought in a lot of alpha. Thank you, everyone. I ate everything. Bill, Gabby, Grizz, all you guys are great. Even RA, even though he said some stuff that was a little annoying. Let's just end it here. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys. It feels like a different version of the November election. I agree. It does feel like that. We're going to see just how scared they are of him. Thank you, Victoria. With how much effort they put into taking him out and how much free rent he takes in their heads. He's going to take so much free rent. Dude, I promise you, it's going to be disgusting. It's going to be so much fun to watch. It's going to be amazing. But with that, I leave you guys. Appreciate you. Everyone have a good night's sleep. Glad we could end a little early here. Have a great day tomorrow. Have a great day this week. And let's see what we talk about tomorrow. Appreciate it.